No brains, like, no brains at all. Literally no brains. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Frogs Hollow TV. Of course, brought to you by our great partners at TC Media and Rose & Sons Earth Moving. Live from our Frogs Hollow studio here in downtown Warrialda. Tonight we're joined by a special guest, 2015 Kempsey 250 champion, multiple top 5 outright podiums at Griffith and Gundawindi. He's also had a second outright at Milbrodale and also at Nabiac in 2017. He's coming fresh off a 9th outright at St George in March. Sam, welcome from Egan Racing. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Toby. Thanks for having me. It's a bit of a privilege to be out here tonight. So yeah, thank you for the invite.
We'll get down to the nitty gritty later on. Also, we just on behalf of Derek and I, we just like to thank everyone for their support and their likes and shares. The thing went off the first episode a couple of weeks ago, so hopefully move on and.
Yeah, it did. It went over to Dondee on the weekend, and people that had commented, people ringing, texting. It's good.
People didn't even know.
People didn't even know, coming up, shaking your hand and going, "Where were you?"
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what we did it for, just to sort of just talk off road and sit on the couch on a Wednesday night, have a look at Frogs Hollow TV, tell your mates, and we'll hopefully get the ball rolling for the next episode. So we'll go straight into the round the ground wraps of the events over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and we were just talking before, I've been able to get some good footage from Kai Floyd at Burdekin in the second place, a bit of nice GoPro footage there. We've got some footage from Toby Waitley, a good friend down at Loveday Park at Perilla a couple of weeks ago. And we also got some footage from our own Southern Cross. Even though it wasn't for very long, we got a couple of laps in there and we'll be able to show that. So we'll put that in the episode. So we'll go straight into Sam, the Richard Bennett Memorial Enduro down at Perilla a couple of weeks ago, round 1 of the South Australia Aora Multi-Club Series, and it was another big win for Aaron Havey.
Yeah, Aaron Havey, very, very quick peddler. I see here he navigated with his daughter Chelsea. Good to see Kevin Knott back in the navigator's seat after that big crash him and young Duffy had at Gundy, so that was good to see him back in the seat and back into it again.
Yeah, that's good. And Derek, they use a unique reverse grid format down there where on the Sunday they do the short course on the Saturday and then the long course on the Sunday. I think they did 8 33-kilometre laps and the fast cars start at the back, so that's pretty cool format down there.
Cool format, mate, and it spices it up a bit. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you want to change it around. And every race in Australia's been doing the same format for years and years. Why not spice it up?
It's always good to come from the back and overtake cars. There's nothing better than
they've started doing it at Millicent too.
Catching the car and overtaking it, then it becomes a race, not just out in front. And
I agree.
So we said Aaron Havey in the last episode. Derek just continues his arguably. Well, it's hard to tell with ARB and ORC championships, but he's definitely in that top 3 or 4 in Australia at the moment. He's genuine. A superstar in the.
He is, and he's a genuine good bloke too. But yeah, like you said, mate, he's a very quick peddler and got a nice car, nice family to go with it. Yeah, and what it's all about too.
So we'll have the luxury of calling them at Griffith in July. So I'm looking forward to that. Sam, another of our Element Prodigy Chev V8 buggies, Andrew Fitzgerald, and I believe his granddaughter Maddie Barrett was in there in the navigator seat. They crossed for second. A good run for them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool for Andrew and his granddaughter, mate, to have her in the seat. That'd be something special for the family to have there. And another Element car, mate. They seem to be really strong at the moment. Australian built thing, so
they go well. And then of course a guy that you raced over at St George earlier in the year, Andrew Miles and Jacob Booth, come down from Alice Springs. They finished third, 19 seconds adrift.
Yeah, Miles, he's a very quick pro-like competitor. I think I've raced him a couple of times at Griffith when he's come over from Northern Territory to race the Griffith race, and mate, yeah, he's very fast.
And we also saw Ivan Smocker drive his single seat Southern Element in the 4th. Another one of our hard charging pro-lot drivers, Darryl Neeson, who's always thereabouts, so he come in the 5th. A couple other notables, Toby Waitley, who also sees some footage of on our show, He shared the driving with Father Tony in the rush truck. Derek, these guys, they're having a few engine dramas. When they get the Fink, although it might be a bit of a dark, I'm not going to say they'll win it, but Tony will push it. I know Toby on the pipeline wants to get in it for a full championship eventually, but this year Tony behind the wheel.
I think you're saying, yeah, Tony at Alice Springs will do well. Like I said, they have a lot of engine issues. Like down in South Australia, like they can't well, but they changed an engine the night before, and that hard pedal. If the truck will say to get it, he'll be there.
Yeah, he's definitely one to watch out for. And also Carl Havey, Sam, in his second start in the new Element Prodigy. He actually claimed the prologue victory there over brother Aaron. They had a duel in that first couple of laps in the short course, but then I believe he had a fan belt problem. So, but he'll be. I think they're going to both go under Griffith, so he'll be one to watch moving forward.
Yeah, good to see Carl back in a buggy. He spent a couple of years back in the truck, but good to see him back in another Element car built by them, I suppose.
Yeah,
and
cars. So that's a wrap from Perilla. Now we're going to our second event, and Derek and I was saying we actually want to get up to this race hopefully the next couple of years. It was the Burdekin 300 in Queensland, the ARB Off-Road Championship round number 2. And Derek, you picked it, Brett Comiskey and Dan McKenzie. Only just a minute and a half victory, but they got there in the end. They prologued in 6th, they were 3rd overnight. They had a bit of a mishap from the overnight leader, Kai Floyd, who we'll also talk about later, but Comiskey there again and just snarled up and got the victory.
Yeah, and he must be getting used to the car. Like he's steering well, and like he's not a younger man like us either. Like he's an older gentleman, and no, good on him. Hats off.
He's really got that Jimco dog. Shannon Ranch couldn't have any better than Shannon Ranch.
So you won't get better than Shannon,
but obviously the work they do on the cars, it's obviously doing the job. Dan McKenzie, I know, does a lot of work on up on the Gold Coast. So.
A lot of work, and just their outfit, like. Can't have walks through their outfit, which I had the pleasure of doing up at Queensland there, and unbelievable.
I just bought another big transporter, so they'll be rolling into Fink shortly, I'd say. And I don't know if they'll be one of the favourites, but as we said, they'll be around that between 5 or 10, I'd say, for the good run for them. And then we had Kai Floyd, who, as I said, won the prologue. He led by 2 minutes overnight in the Can-Am. God almighty, he drives the backside of that Can-Am. We've got some footage on the show later on. The man is a maniac. He hit a rock about 60 kilometres from home, but it was almost a famous victory in the Can-Am at Burdekin.
Oh. It's a big drive for a Can-Am, like up against Comiskey, mate. It's one of the quickest cars in Australia, that ex-Shannon Ranch car, and that's a big drive for a Can-Am to be up there like that.
I agree with you, Sam. Like the Can-Ams, like from when they were Polaris to the kid, like to a Can-Am now. Yamaha, there's a couple of Yamahas Don Dingle, they're coming back, but go. Like, and not just, we're not just on short course, we're talking long course as well. They're stitching them with the best.
One to watch, Kai Floyd. We didn't have Talbot Cox, who we actually picked there, so Talbot obviously couldn't recover from his DNF at Pooncarie, but I know he's on the organising committee, so he had a bit on that weekend. Craig Grogg drove his Razorback in the 3rd position, 21st overnight, up into 3rd at the end of the weekend. That's a big drive, Sam.
That's a massive drive. I see there, 21st prologue, worked his way into 8th, and then end up finished 3rd. So he's had a very good drive. That's not all luck. You got to really drive your way from there, and there would have been dust, and so he's done well.
And then we saw another Element machine up there. Kent Battle drove well. He had a disappointing first part of the Saturday, but drove into 4th outright. And then Chris Colborne was the first of the Pro Light competitors home in 5th. only 16 of the 49 starters completing full distance, so she was a
hard.
tough race up there in North Queensland. I reckon they bred him tough up in the north, but
They do.
They must.
side by side, Turbo Young Guns, Bailey Coxon led after lap 1, had some issues. Young Tom Swinglehurst was second overnight before we had an engine drama Sunday morning. And then one of my ones to watch, Josh Weidman, who led, I think he was on about third or fourth outright until he landed off a jump and broke an axle. So that's our Burdekin wrap for 2021, and now we'll move into the Scott's Hydraulic Dong Dingalong Off-Road Challenge. Derek, it was the New South Wales round 1. We made the trip over. We won't go into too much because we've got a wrap, but it wasn't our weekend.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
End of the day, we'll go into that a bit later.
Yeah. So before we review last week's transaction, we'll go to a Frogs Hollow wrap from the track on Sunday. So here we are, Sunday wrap up at Dong Dingalong for Frogs Hollow TV. Wheelie, JJ, welcome boys. Not the weekend we wanted, but hey, we're racing and that's what it's all about. Give us a bit of a rundown, JJ.
Yeah, we in prologue, I had a bit of a slight mechanical failure and
Threw a leg out.
threw a leg out.
Not a leg over, a leg out.
It put me out for the weekend, so
New engine.
new engine time.
And Derek, we didn't prologue, we had a bit of a problem there, but we got back up to the third for the section 2 yesterday and got about quarter of the way through the lap and that was it.
Yeah, she's had a shutdown. It was on a computer. I don't know what's going on. A couple of seconds, but she just floats down the curl.
We had the best in the business, Manny Moore with us, and he can't work it out, we're in no hope. So.
No, we had nothing. But end of the day, what do we do? That's racing. We had fun. Have a good weekend.
Moving forward for the rest of the event, we got to talk to Lucky yesterday. It was good to catch up with him. We've had a ball, as you say, any time we're at an off-road track, it's all about getting together and having a bit of fun. But we've still got some big guys out here about to launch off in a minute. Who's your tip?
I'll tell you what, if Spizzo can get him, he's got him. But Juck gets in front, Juck's got him.
8 wins. Could be 8 wins.
Could be
That's
8
the
wins.
guy in the conditions. JJ could play a bit of fact, a bit of rain overhead. That extra horsepower could play into the hands of the keen hands.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, that's us for Dong Dingalong in 2021. Plans for the rest of the year, Derek. We'll go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, we'll take the car up to Chapo, see what's going on with it, go to Gimpy for a drive, and let's get it prepped for Love Day.
JJ, what's your plan, mate?
I'll try and get a new engine in there, study then Warrior. The S1
Yep. Let's do it.
And the couple of class battles out here, the 1650 Warren Barron, young Tommy Berry going at it.
You're going hard.
Your old class.
Yeah, old class, mate. No, it's good to see. I think it's a good race tonight. There's some good people here, and it's good to catch up with our mates. And that's what it's all about.
So now we'll climb out and we'll let you watch the start of the big guys, the first heat on Sunday. So unfortunately, Wheelie, not our weekend as we said, but geez, we still had a fat time from go to woe. That's what it's all about. Like we went over there, as you said, a bit of a testing session. We went over to beat JJ. We did 4 laps, he did none, so we got the win. But that's what it's all about. But one person who did excel at Dong Dingalong was the man who made his return to the track after a couple of years away, Glenn Spizzo. And Sam, you've done a bit of racing with him in the pro lot class. He stepped up to the pro buggies, and geez, he went well over there.
Yeah, Spizzo's very quick. I remember out here a couple of years ago, I think it was 2017 at Warrior. He led after the first short sort section, so he's very fast, Glenn, and very good deserved win. And I see he's going now to the pro.
Yeah.
So he'll be
And he's
extremely quick, especially in the New
Supercharged
South Wales.
Nissan.
Yeah, I'm saying he hasn't gone like everyone else done. Like, hasn't put turbos on him. He's actually gone supercharged, and she's just a little
Something
black
different.
box sitting up on
And we're
top.
talking about
looks
those
good.
nickel fab cars that don't tend to be as heavy as some of those other.
No, it's very light. So he'll be very one to watch, especially in the New South Wales rounds going forward.
Like a Milgado or Warrior, like you could see him pushing for big wins at those big races now. So well done there to Glenn Spizzo and Derek Wall there on the weekend, and he was third in the prologue. And then he was 15 seconds clear of Justin Guy on that first heat on the Sunday that we watched before he left. But that sort of, he pulled away from Justin. Then, as we said, he just had to hold onto that position on the track. He actually got past Justin on the last heat. But it was a very spirited drive, and Hornet Racing will take a lot away from that.
Yeah, they will. And at the end of the day, it wasn't just a dry track either. It was wet, mate. That last heat.
Yeah, that was as wet as it gets over there. Yeah.
Very lucky Can-Am didn't catch up. Like, he drove very well to stick it within the wet, mate.
And we go back to another good mate, Justin Guy, 7-time champion. He won 3 in 16, 17, 18. He led by 0.7 of a second overnight, but he just sort of let Spizzo get away there. He said he just had trouble with the car. It's as good as he could drive it. Like, he had no excuses. Spizzo was just a bit quicker on the weekend. And
lot bigger car too.
Yeah, right. What bigger
that
car?
Jim Carroll guy, so it's a lot harder to get around that tight little dong-ding-long track. And Spizzo's no slouch, so.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Totally agree with you, Sammy. And he'll be one to watch.
And then we saw Tom Dixon, who he actually started off against on the second heat on the Saturday. He come up from Nowra, so they've been wanting to do the championship. They've had a lot of engine dramas the last, he said 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
So they got that old Jimco, they got a good engine, it's a steady engine. He said he can turn her up as high as he wants for that long course action, but I don't think he wants to go much quicker because he was flying on the weekend.
Oh, he only had like 10 pound of boost when we lined up beside him. He said she's good for like 30. I don't holy dooly.
Yeah. And he was only at 1.2 seconds behind Justin, and so he's got the pace.
He got the pace.
But hopefully he'll be definitely one to keep an eye on moving into the New South Wales stuff. Justin Chisholm was the first of the side-by-side turbos in the MA. He was in fourth. He's always consistent at Dong-Dingalong. And then we had another one of our Newcastle Can-Am entries, Glenn Ackroyd, crossed in 5th position. So anything else out of Dong-Dingalong we took away, Derek? Just that you got the bragging rights, even though we completed about 15% of the race?
Yeah, I've got the bragging rights, but it's not a bragging right. JJ's got a fair few issues, and
We got
I've got a little one which we'll talk about a little bit later on down the track.
Yeah. But it was a good weekend overall.
Oh.
Kempsey Macleay always put on a good
They
day.
do.
A lot of young fellas stepping up like we have here, but
I'll tell you what, they actually had a lot of young fellas out there stepping up to the challenge, and we're the same, but all clubs are. But over there, take your hats off to like Dave Chandler and his wife Ash. They done a good job, and the whole crew behind them.
move on to our next event review, and it was a 2021 Brekkie Bash, which was last Sunday, Mother's Day, at the Fink Prologue track. Sam saw some big names testing. They're all prepping, of course, for a full Fink campaign, but that day was solely just about getting their qualifying machine set up and just trying to get to that. The main goal is to get that pole position on Sunday at Fink.
Yeah, mate, the names of Gallard, Robinson, like Paul Wheel fellows, mate, they're all very quick blokes, and they'd be looking for that top spot to go down to Fink on Sunday morning, mate. They don't want to be second and third behind anybody. They want to have that dust-free run.
They don't want to chase over there. No one wants to chase.
And even like the young guys like Justin, Jacob Booth, Joshua Wilson, we saw Mouldy, so some of the big buggies there, obviously they've never, young Wilson and Booth haven't really been up there before, but they're up-and-comers and just blokes like that, they're just obviously keen to get in there. And we know like the likes of Josh Howes and Renshie and all those guys, Matty Hanson, Glenn Owen will be back, Burrows, the list goes on, Toby Price will be there. So the big debate is who will win. Will the trophy truck go at 1-2? Will they go again, or will it be another buggy that crosses first on Monday? But Derek, that's what it's all about, and the countdown is well and truly on now for Think 21.
Definitely on. Like they got, like you said, there's some good cars, and yeah, we'll just see how it pans out. We'll be watching it live.
and 10 years since Greg Gartner got the win, so maybe another trophy truck on the dial.
Yep.
So now we'll move into a segment, Frogs Hollow Highlights, where we'll select who is hot on the track and then someone we've been keeping an eye on moving forward into the rest of the season. I'll start with the big winner. I think the Element Cars, the guys down in South Australia, they do an incredible job. The Habies, Rowan Eggers, they just, first, second at Perilla, fourth at, Element Cars, they just continue to shine in Australia.
Australian, mate.
Who's your big winner for the episode?
Oh, I reckon if you keep an eye on Spizzo for the rest, if he's doing a full championship,
One to watch, yeah.
one to watch, definitely.
Yeah, sure. Sam?
Mate, my big winner's Comiskey. Prologue 7th, I think, and then work his way up. I know he probably had a little bit of luck, but he's still got to be there, mate, within that distance to jump on Kai Floyd like that. So he's still got to be there, mate. I started in front of him on the Sunday at St George, and mate, he in that real fast stuff, he come around me like I was standing still. And I know it's a good car, but he's quick.
And that's what he did too. We talked about last episode when he did it gun to win. I don't think Comiskey's ever going to be the guy that'll go out there and win prologue by 15 seconds. But
No.
and that's what a lot of the good drivers base their strategy around. He just goes out there, cruises around. If he finishes third or fourth, like he did at St George, he was happy with 7th. But yeah, Comiskey definitely a big winner there. And then one to watch from me is, we'll go back to Don Dingalong, is Tom Dixon. I think if he can just continually get more confidence in that Jimco, he's a big man. I've never met Tom. He towered over us in the pits there on the Sunday morning, but he's old man Rolly Dixon, so they've been around the sport for a long time. But he'll be one to watch. Derek, who's your...
I reckon Riley Wilson, Class 3, like he's a bit like me back in the Class 2 days.
This is Upper.
Yeah. And loose.
Loose.
And I repeat, loose.
He had a bit of mud in the eyes there on the Sunday, but otherwise I think he's heading for a top 10 there.
He's one to watch. Like, I know it sounds silly, like we all
just
talk about
loves
big
it.
cars, but we're talking about a small team, having fun, got a good family behind him, and having a fat time.
And just loves it.
And loves it.
Loves it. Sam, who's your one to watch?
Mate, mine's Craig Grob. I haven't heard much about him, but to read he's prologue 21st and then moved his way to 8th, like I said before, and ended up finishing 3rd. So in the Razorback there, so they're another Australian-built thing, and I reckon that's a
Good solid
big
car.
drive. So I don't know what's his plan or what races he'll do, but I think he'll be on that effort. He'll be one to watch.
And now that was our Frogs Hollow highlights segment. We'll now move into a new one for tonight. We might have it every night, but Derek, after his weekend, I think he deserves it. It's called Wheelie's Word. So we've got 60 seconds for Derek to get something off his chest. Derek, hit us.
Right then, we go away racing. We work hard in the shed, gin around. I know the boys had to piss out about prep and everything else. Like, when you run business, a bit hard. But anyhow, at the end of the day, we go over there. We didn't prologue real well. We had a bit of a bummer. We done a belt, come back in, went from where we were, 3rd outright. Had a bit of a fat time. JJ put a hole in the side of her over there. But to say it all rough and tender, it was good to go over to Don Dingalong. It was good for the boys to come and give me a hand in the shed for the whole week.
Yeah.
I took a lot away from Don Dingalong. I've actually done a computer in the car. She just shut down when you turn the ignition switch off.
Yeah.
She's pumping fuel into the sump, so we'll go up the Chapos and we'll see what Rob can do up there and what it's all about. But all I've got to say, mate, I can't wait to Milberdale. I don't know if we'll get to South Australia. I'm just not too sure about Love Day. But I think we might go down and give the Egan team a bit of a ruffle up because the old mate Bill
He
Keith.
got you on the first.
Yeah, he did. He got me on the first one, but I tell you,
1-0.
she's on.
She's
At
on.
Milberdale, it's on.
So there you go, there's Wheelie's Word for episode 2. So now, before we get into our preview segment, which is a bit of an exciting one, we just want to share you with a little one-on-one chat that Derek and I had with one of our good friends, and I'm not going to say the oldest off-road in Australia, but he'd have to be pushing it. Good mate, Lucky Matusi at Kempsey, one of the true legends of our sport. So here we are on Frogs Hollow Racing TV with the veteran of the field, probably the veteran of Australian off-road, Lucky Matusi. Welcome, Lucky. 81 years of age and still going strong.
Yeah, trying to.
Yeah. And so tell our viewers, how long have you been racing? When did you first start and what was your first vehicle?
The first vehicle was back in 1980. It was a buggy. I bought it for $600.
Yep.
Put a piece of it in 6. Went to Carlo, hit a tree full of bull hands. Nobody could go near it.
So what year was that back in
That's back in 1980.
1980?
Yeah.
So around 40 years.
That's around when Neville Boys and Harold Gill and all them people were running
All the
around.
veterans.
Kelvin Page, all the good blokes.
All the veterans.
All the veterans, yeah. And none of them around yet. Some died, still, some of them are still.
You still outlasting
Yeah,
them
I outlived a whole lot of them, I think. and that was the first one. And then I bought a buggy, another buggy, a Scorpion,
all? Yeah.
and I had a Nissan, the old Datsun 1600,
Yeah.
which I bought off Neville Boys, and bought a gearbox from Harold Gill, and won the Gunner Windy, won outright.
And back in the day, you had an experience with your son. You put her in a
Yeah, that was
little dam.
Yeah, that was in the Maclay 1000, and we was a little bit wet, and I've lost her. And I tried to go over to the top of the bank of the creek, and I didn't make it, so I thought I'd back up. And a great big hole behind us, I didn't see it.
Water.
They were underwater with mud and everything.
So
And the BBC cameras
got it on you. It's on
got it,
YouTube,
yeah, and that made a video which was for Andrew Cowan, which in Australia, running for Old Man Emu,
Yeah.
and that's what according to him made the video.
Made the video.
So we're right driving a tin top this weekend.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
It goes pretty good for
yeah, it goes good for this track. And,
So how are you actually travelling this weekend?
well, I'm running second in class, but
Yep.
I don't think I can beat that car out there because it's got a pretty quick engine.
Yeah, a bit of youth as well, but Marky. But
Yeah.
best thing about it is you're still doing your sport at a rifle age.
There's nobody else running around 81
Probably
years
you and Pete Souter are the oldest two here this weekend.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, lucky there's got a bit of time just to keep going, so you can't go anymore.
Well, I haven't no plans for the tires yet. Not until I do the thing with you. I'll make sure the base.
So breaking news, we're going to do the pink 2022 short wheelbase Dara.
I reckon they'll be tough enough to finish.
Yep.
You be right?
Yeah.
Well, lucky to join us, mate. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So how bloody cool is Lucky Matusi? If you didn't catch the ending due to that angry V8 starting in the background through that interview, Derek, Lucky actually asked myself over there on the weekend if I'd sit beside him for Think 2022 in the Mitsubishi Pajero. I see Sam shaking his head, but Lucky's adamant that he's going to put her on the hoist and fix her, and he's going to head to Think next June for 82-year-old running Think. Well, that'd be a story to write about, Derek.
Yeah, and I've got the job and going over to help you pick. How bad's that? But anyhow, if he's going to go, we'll go. And
But like a legend of our sport, 1980, 40 years. But as I read on Facebook today, I think it, can't remember actually who put it, but I think it might have been Neville Boys put on Facebook a post, something about Lucky and a future Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just, it's not just about, Lucky never won 1,000 trophies.
No.
He won the Gunda Windia race back in 1986, I think when they had a border enduro. That might have been when Morialta had that race out the gully, but he's just a likeable character. Like, doesn't matter who you are, you come over here, you walked up to my mum on the weekend and give her a big cuddle. Listen to it, he's got some CDs that he made. He's just one of them blokes.
He's good value.
And another bloke that we just want to touch note to, I saw a very sad day on Sunday. Pete Souter has officially said, no, I've had enough.
Had enough.
He's been in the sport for nearly 35 years, since the mid-80s, so another legend of our sport. We'll hang the helmet up. I know Matty Turner, his grandson's keen to keep the tradition going, so Pete's not going to go away. He's still in the
If he's still there, but he's...
Yeah.
But it's
I remember Pete out here when I was a little kid, racing around Morialta in his single seater, and it's always been the same. And I don't think he wouldn't have missed many Morialtas.
And he's never got cranky with the car.
The ones he missed, he didn't miss the Royal Hotel.
No, the Royal Hotel.
So now we'll go to the preview of what's to come. So it's our last segment for episode 2. This weekend is the GT Bobcat Munbanar 160. It's out near Mount Gambier. So we've been down to Milliston a couple of times. It's not far from there. It's treacherous country and real sandy.
Wet.
Yeah, wet and
Can rain and rain and rain and rain.
But a couple of quick cars down there, Sounding. They're taking 35. Andy Murdoch's back. He's a 29-inch. He's another Element car. So they're everywhere, the Element cars. Jimco, Gary Turnbull's got the new Jimco.
I reckon he'll be the one to beat.
He'll be one to beat down there, yeah. He's
very quick in
last
that.
year.
And it's similar shape to the, or similar model to the ex-Shannon Wrench car, the
Yeah.
one the Commissy's got now.
Yeah. And then we've
So
got
it's-
Todd Lehman's also in the Jimco. He was a 2018 champion. And then there's also former ARB Australian champion Marty Scott, Tyson Proud, and then the Fusion machine of Joseph Patterson. So Turnbull for you for the win.
Yeah, Turnbull for me. I reckon he'll win quite easily down there. I know Toddy Lehman's got the
Bulmer.
Bulmer car from
Bulmer car,
Gundawindi,
yeah.
so I think he's changed a fair bit to it. It looks a little bit different, but I think Gary Turnbull's the man.
Derek, who's your tip?
Yeah, I'm a bit like
Turnbull.
Sam. Yeah,
We saw him at Loveday last year.
Cool.
He's an older gentleman, but he's
He's
been around
loose.
for a long time. He's loose.
And
yeah.
Lewis.
I'm gonna go. I reckon Andy Murdoch. Andy Murdoch's fast. He had that trophy truck. He had that big off at Millicent, but he's got the Element car. And I think way Element cars are going, you can't go past Andy Murdoch at Munbana. And also next weekend, Derek might actually go up and have a look at this one. It's the Pat Diesel Services Dalby 100, round 3 of the ARB Queensland Off-Road Championship. Haven't been to Dalby yet. I think it's the 3rd year. Clayton Chapman won last year during COVID. He's in the Triton this year, but still probably the one to beat for me.
Yeah, same deal. I agree with you. I can go up there for a bit of look. Mine take 62 up and get a look at.
And Sam, we see Stuart Chapman enter the pro buggy scene. There's a bit of a lid on this one, but I believe he's in the Milburn machine. So
Yeah, the single seater
seater.
man car.
So he'll be one to watch.
He'll be one to watch, but I'm going to go with the man that I picked a little while ago in the segment with Craig Grogg.
The Razorback.
Yeah, in the Razorback, I'm going to go with him. I don't know a lot about him, but with that drive he had, I'll stick with him.
Stick
and
with him.
Go with that.
Derek Cubble, the fan favourite, the Tin Tops. Miles Newborn, Kristen Truce, along with, of course, Clayton Chapman will be the pick there. And then many of the Queensland's best side-by-side turbo competitors will also be lining up, including vertical runner-up Kai Floyd, who we mentioned before. Zach Marsh is a quick start out of Brisbane. He's really quick in the Can-Am. And also Joshua Wideman, Bailey Coxon, also Richard Tazzant and David Lanham. For me, you can't go past Kai Floyd. I think he'll just set the pace early prologue, and once he gets in front, he's obviously he's actually in the side-by-side Australian Championship at Coralbin this weekend. But then he'll back it up for Dalby, take it home, full kit up, and then he's on the way to Fink. So busy few weeks for Kai Floyd, but as he said, there's no point having him in the shed. And another
argument.
rumor on the mill, but next year we could see Kai Floyd in the Jimco. So there's something to watch moving into 2022. So that's another enjoyable episode. Derek, Sam, it's been a pleasure having you on
thanks for
episode
coming,
2
All
of
right, thanks, Toby.
Frog Solo
And
TV.
we'll see you at Milberdale, Red.
Yeah,
She's
Milberdale
on.
for round 2.
She's on.
But everyone stay safe on the track, and here's episode 2.
Cheers, boys.